Fighting games were never my forte. From the very beginning, when I got a copy of Street Fighter II on the Genesis, I always struggled with the arcade mode. I liked Chun-Li because she could bounce off the walls and had an easy multi-kick attack, but I'd always get stuck at Bison. Eventually, I did beat it, once, with Bison, mostly thanks to his cheap slide kick that the computers could do nothing about. Despite the struggle, I would always come back to it because I love the characters. I just couldn't grasp the mechanics. Nowadays, I know that a lot of early arcade modes are downright cheap, but I had no idea back then. I thought it was a lack of skill, something only further emphasized the one time I got to fight a friend, and he absolutely wiped the floor with me. So I ended up staying away from fighting games, only checking out Mortal Kombat on occasion thanks to its infamy. Yet I couldn't help but find myself fascinated by them. Here were these games with cool characters pulling off awesome moves and bare-bones stories that I couldn't help but get hooked by. I found myself consuming everything around them instead. I watched the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat movies and their cartoons. I'd read about other fighting games in magazines and get tidbits of their histories, but I rarely bought them. It didn't help that there were no arcades around me, not even in the fighting game boom of the 90s. I had no idea that that was even a thing. Now, there were some fighting games that I dabble in over the years, usually only one or two per system. On the Sega Saturn, I tried Virtua Fighter and Fighting Vipers, enjoying the simplicity of them both. It was fun to win by knocking opponents out of the ring in the former, and there was something viscerally cool about drop-kicking someone through a cement wall and halfway across the parking lot. I'd missed Tekken on the PlayStation, yet the launch of the Dreamcast put all eyes on Power Stone and especially Soul Calibur. I'd never get the system, making it agonizing to never try Power Stone, but I jumped on Soul Calibur 2 in a heartbeat. It didn't hurt that Link was there, but it's still one of my early fighting game highlights. Even with the launch of the PlayStation 2, I would get Dead or Alive 2, wowed by the graphics and eating up the crazy reversals that the game allowed. There was a spectacle to 3D fighters that was instantly accessible. Looking back, I think it's because they rarely featured the special moves that flummoxed me as a kid. They were still there, but I could manage. Or maybe it was because the arcade modes were nowhere near as impossible. Either way, it took a long time for me to return to 2D fighters. Even when I got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it didn't click with me. There was no story to attach to. I barely recognized any of the Capcom characters at the time, and I had no one to play with. Only realizing my mistake when I got far more money from it than any other game I had traded in. It wouldn't be until Street Fighter 4 that I tried a 2D fighter again, and that also marked the moment that I truly got wrapped up in the genre. I rented the original release and was blown away by not only the graphics and moves, but by the fact that after playing other fighting games for so long, I finally understood the inputs. I could pull off quarter circle forwards or the Shoryuken motion, which I only learned recently is known as a DP. That's how out of the loop I was. But the fact that I was actually pulling this stuff off was empowering enough that when Super Street Fighter 4 was released, I picked it up right away. I'd never call myself good at the game, but I did find mains in Ibuki, Kami, and Juri. I had fun seeing all the arcade endings and super moves. I even tried the online modes where I'd inevitably get destroyed. But I did win sometimes, and that was always encouraging. 2D fighters were finally starting to click with me, and it was with the original BlazBlue that I grew into a true lover of the medium. With Street Fighter, there was all this history. People had been playing for years, so I quickly realized that I stood no chance. But a brand new fighter put me on equal ground, at least against my few friends who also played fighting games. I don't know if I ever had more fun than the release day of BlazBlue, where we just tried all the characters and found mains and had amazing back and forths. Nobody stomped anyone else. It was even, and that was something I had longed for ages. Even better was the sheer amount of single-player content, arcade mode, story mode, and extras that laid out this strange world. I was already an anime fan, so I ate all the weird lore up. Although I consider myself a fan of the genre, I didn't get everything out there, mainly sticking to these two franchises. But I would try to learn about other games thanks to magazines and early internet retrospectives. It's how I learned about series like Darkstalkers, Guilty Gear, Rival Schools, and Tekken. I'll always remember the moment that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was announced though. I never got over the mistake of trading in MVC2, and to have a brand new game was a golden opportunity to fix that mistake. And I knew I was in for something special as soon as it launched. There was a midnight release, and as all of us were waiting, the GameStop employees set up the game for everyone to try. I may not have been the best there, but I was shocked at how well I held my own. Something that continued once I got the game and discovered my team to be X-23, Deadpool, and Felicia. It may have some of my fondest fighting game memories, despite getting burned so soon after with the announcement of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Fighting games may not have been my most played genre, that would be RPGs, platformers, and action titles, but I could appreciate them by this point. However, it would be soured massively by the 3-hit combo that was Street Fighter V, Street Fighter X Tekken, and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I knew there were other cool games coming out, but I just never took the plunge. Soul Calibur wasn't intriguing me, I never touched Tekken, Guilty Gear's lore felt impenetrable, and nothing was standing out with the exception of Dragon Ball FighterZ. I know there were likely other great fighters out there, but I just didn't care to learn. Even with FighterZ, I enjoyed the game, but I was overwhelmed by all the amazing players that would beat me down. And so the genre languished for me. That is, until Street Fighter VI. Hype can be infectious. I love getting excited by other people's passion, and it was off the charts for this sequel. Or maybe it felt that way because I had found myself gravitating towards people who were fans of the genre. It all began with Matt McMuscles and his What Happened and Worst Fighting Game series. Many of the episodes gave me an appreciation for what was done well in the genre and how things could go wrong. This eventually led me to his Triple KO podcast with Justin Wong and Maximilian Dude, and that's where I was injected with hype men. The way the three of them talk about this new golden age of fighters win made me excited, and I started learning more about the lingo and the histories, more so than ever before. It was a cascade from there, as I loved hearing all three's opinions on the latest news, found myself actually excited for announcements at EVO, and simply understood this community that I had found intimidating for so long. I knew I'd never be able to match any of them, but that's okay. I had found the hooks to make me a fan, as their infectious energy got me checking out other aspects of fighting games. It was through them that I got an appreciation for fighting game stages thanks to Babe Ruthless, and it was from my own curiosity around Darkstalkers that I discovered Thorgy's Arcade. Here was a creator that really dived into the history of fighting games and opened up series that I knew characters from, but that's about it. His retrospectives gave me a respect for Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, Fatal Fury, and the King of Fighters. Add in my own burgeoning excitement for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and all this stuff was falling into place at the right time. But it was excellent timing in another way, one that led me to a discovery. For the past 4 years, I've struggled to play games. It's difficult when I have a young son and I'm essentially a stay-at-home dad. When I have time, I try to dedicate it to working as much as possible, getting things done, trying to stay afloat, and the like. But my son Kai is a curious kid. He loves to see what I'm doing and try it for himself. And so when I'm trying to work on a script, he often commandeers my laptop and refuses to give it up. It may be annoying, but the kid knows all his letters, knows how to use caps lock, has figured out how to use the mouse, and even recently learned how to do the keyboard command for undo, all by watching me. I want to encourage that. It's amazing. That said, I can't exactly go elsewhere to work on something else. I need to keep an eye on him to make sure he's safe and not getting into things he shouldn't. So when he commandeers my laptop, I play my Switch nearby, but this isn't exactly conducive to massive games. Sure, I still have Tears of the Kingdom to beat and Echoes of Wisdom is already out. Yes, I have a ton of RPGs on my backlog, but all those games demand attention. I want to lose myself in those worlds, which isn't exactly possible when my son requires something from me every 5 minutes. Even when I can write when he's around, like right now, he's not far off, asking for help with Mario Kart 8 or Mario Party, games that he wanted to try for himself. In fact, I just helped him switch games as I wrote those words. Uninterrupted time is kind of at a premium. This isn't to complain or anything though. Like I said, my time with him led to a discovery. Fighting games are perfect to play while watching my son. I can get a round or two in before he needs something, so it feels like I'm able to actually accomplish a goal. I won a round, or finished a fight, or pulled off some new special. And this in turn has allowed me to check out classics that I missed the first time around. My excitement for the Marvel vs. Capcom collection led me to pick up the first collection and discover that Red Earth is awesome and Super Gem Fighter is a treat. It's satisfying to dive into Darkstalkers after hearing about it for so long and discover that it's just as fun as I had hoped. It's not just Capcom fighters either. Like I said, the ever-growing excitement for City of the Wolves has been infectious, and in that hype, I decided to pick up many of the King of Fighters games, mainly because a lot of them were on sale for their recent 30th anniversary celebration. I'd like to try the Fatal Fury games as well, but they weren't discounted. Still, it has been a trip to dive into the King of Fighters 94 and get absolutely destroyed by the AI. Thankfully, the Arcade Archives version allows me to lower the difficulty, eventually getting me through, but it's been a joy to see this early example of fleshed out storytelling in fighting games. It's not a lot, but I'm having fun. There's a whole swath of characters I'm discovering, and that's continued as I beat the arcade mode with all teams in both KOF 95 and 96. I'm currently on KOF 97, and I've enjoyed seeing how each team has evolved and how the gameplay develops with each new entry. But it's also teaching me. There are some complicated inputs in KOF, and while I can't do some of the crazier ones, I'm finally starting to click with charge characters. I could never pull them off before, yet with Leona and Chang, it's actually happening. Heck, I feel proud that I can do the insane quarter circle back then half circle forward to unleash a super move. I can't exactly go online until I reach KOF 98 or 2002 Unlimited match, but I consider these early games training, not only for taking on human players, but to adjust my reflexes for the moves. Talking about all this when I haven't really in the past feels kind of niche, or maybe not. There are a lot of new dads out there adjusting how they play games and finding that balance. And while I may struggle to find time to play the genres I typically stick with, I love that I can find joy in a new genre. It's gratifying listening to all these wonderful people and delving into a genre that I liked, but could never fully appreciate. And maybe that's something all of you could do as well. I suppose I've turned into something like a fighting game dad, but maybe some of you could learn to love platformers or puzzle games or something else entirely. I'm curious what that might be. Either way, I'm grateful to all of you who watch this odd topic, and please let me know what genres you want to get into or what fighting games you enjoy. If you had fun with this video, please consider subscribing to Good Vibes Gaming, hitting the like button, and ringing that bell. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/dvgaming with plenty of extra perks. Until next time, bye.